So 7 days after I had my first child, I completely lost my eyesight after that. Anytime I sort of asked for help from one of the midwives or the nurses, they just would tell me, no, just go and do it. You go and do it yourself. My name is Cilveeyah and I'm blind. I have 2 children. We'll work through the background noise. I have 2 children and I just thought I'd share my birth story really quickly. Stories. 2 children, birth stories. So I have an older child who's 9 years old. He's going to be 10 soon. Oh my gosh. And I have an almost 6-year-old as well. So when I had my first child, I still had my eye condition. I've had my eye condition since childhood, but it wasn't to the extent that I needed to make adjustments or adaptations, or I didn't really have any access needs at the time. I was just making do with whatever I can make do. So when I went to the hospital, I was in the hospital for like 3 days because I ended up having a C-section, an emergency C-section. Yeah, so everything was fine, but I guess what I hadn't realized then is that I did have some extra help from people around me that I suppose I hadn't really taken note of. It had just become part of regular life. So because after the C-section on the next day, anytime I sort of asked for help from one of the midwives or the nurses, they just would tell me, no, just go and do it. You go and do it yourself. And it wasn't it wasn't the best experience, let's put it that way. So what I did was, when I had my second child, let's backtrack a little bit. So 7 days after I had my first child, and I was at home. I'd been at home for about 3 or 4 days. That's when things kind of fully changed with my eyesight. Like I completely lost my eyesight after that. So yeah, I just woke up and just couldn't see anything. Everything was a blur. Don't know why I'm laughing about that. So yeah, like that was kind of the beginning of my journey, I guess, with accessibility and just kind of learning how to do things a bit differently, because even when that happened, I still continued to look after my baby. I still made up the bottles. I had to stop breastfeeding because I had to take medication to get my eyesight back to a decent level. I had to treat rather my eye condition. So yeah, I stopped breastfeeding, but then bottles became a whole new challenge because obviously I couldn't see what I was doing, and I'd had no previous experience and no training and nobody to tell me what to do. It was a bit of a dark time in more ways than one, but also it's kind of, it was a way for me to discover myself, I guess. I realized how resilient I am and everything because I still kept going, never gave up, and so on and so forth. Fast forward to when I had my second child. This time I was like, you know what? I'm not going to be in a situation where I can't have somebody with me. So what I did was I booked a private room, and in private rooms in the hospital that I was in, you are allowed to have someone sleep over. I think it's at least 1 person or 2. I can't really remember. But so yeah, with that situation, I was able to have somebody with me 24/7. And because of my eye condition as well, this time around my pregnancy was considered high risk, and I was like really closely monitored all the way through. So when I did go into the hospital to give birth, I was in a room also by myself, even prior to sort of being in my room, if that makes sense. So yeah, I never had to go to the labor ward, which meant I was again able to have somebody with me 24/7. And because obviously I couldn't see very well, like I needed support with more things than one, more than just, rubbing my back and telling me it's going to be okay. So yeah, I just needed more practical help, like in terms of where's the bathroom, where's the room itself, because I'd go out for walks to try and get like when you're walking around trying to get labor going and everything. But yeah, ended up having a C-section. Story for another day. Point is, I found that being in a room, like my own room, really, really helped me in terms of even just being comfortable, just feeling confident, in terms of like looking after my baby and just navigating, because I know everything that's in there because I put it in there, and the person that was with me that was supporting me was telling me, oh, there's this there, there's that there, there's that extra layer of freedom, I guess. What I would know is that I was only in for 24 hours and I had paid for my room for 2 days, 48 hours. So when I was discharged, I was told I could leave at a certain time. Like maybe it was like 9 a.m. I was told, yeah, okay, you can leave by about 2 p.m. today. But I had, planned to be in there for a couple days because the last time I was in the hospital for 3 days. But that's neither here nor there. Point is, when they discharged me, or when they told me I could be discharged from a certain time, I had asked for some pain relief because I just had a C-section, of course, and yeah, I hadn't had any since, I don't know, at some point in the night. I was in so much pain. And when I asked them, they said they'll bring me some. And then another nurse came in maybe an hour later and asked, I'd had asked for pain relief. And they said, oh, yes, of course. And then they said they'll bring me some. And this just kept going and going and going. And until eventually, when I did leave, I had to walk out of that place with absolutely no pain relief and it wasn't the best experience. It was so painful. I could barely move. I could barely walk. When you've had a C-section, it's like a whole surgery and you haven't had there's no, I don't know, I didn't have any support to support my stomach because I wasn't ready. So it was excruciating. The drive home, every single bump, not even bump, every turn, everything, I felt it all. But because I'm a glass half full person, I still was happy that I was able to be in my own space and I was able to have the support that I needed overnight and in general the whole time. I didn't have to stress about calling people to come and help me, strangers as it were, even though, they work in the hospital, but I didn't have to do that. I didn't have to worry about all that. I didn't have to worry about explaining myself again and again and again, this is why, I can't see. This is why I need extra help. This is why it was a much more smooth experience. So yeah, just a little bit about my, birth story and the things I found helpful as a blind mama in labor or in pregnancy or giving birth. Thank you for listening.